Now this article goes to the person that has the most views, most reads, most comments in the whole 2017. That award went to Alan Roger Currie. So the most read article of the year is Alan Roger Currie. He had the most reads, most views, most overall comments activity. So shout out to Alan Roger Currie. The best newcomer of 2017. Again, Max City Limits podcast is with Max City and Tony Maceo. So the best newcomer that had the most effect, I feel, overall on the site was Tony Maceo. So shout out to Tony Maceo. Those are my editor picks of 2017. Now we need to get into the fans, what the brothers voted for in certain categories. And shout out to Solo TV 84 because the official announcements, and I'll post that on Patreon, also the places. Now, the biggest 3 awards that you can win on the NegroManosphere award would be these 3 awards. And in any of these 3 categories would qualify one for the Charles Tyler Cup. Now, if you guys know, Charles Tyler was a good friend of mine. He passed away in November in 2017. So to keep in this particular instance, so there's 3 categories that can win somebody a Charles Tyler Cup. Or Charles Tyler plaque, right? That is if you win the best YouTuber of the year award, if you win the best writer of the year on the Negro Manosphere, or the best dating coach of the year. Now, this is probably where it might be a little interesting. The best YouTuber of the year award. Now, this could be a little controversial, but the writers felt, or the people felt, Alan Roger Currie at 107 votes won. Now, keep in mind, people did vote for Alan Roger Currie. He won this fair and square. He doesn't really YouTube as much, which is what some people would think, but he definitely YouTubes enough, right? So his presence is known. He is the Negro Manosphere Black YouTuber of the Year. But to be honest, this was an award that he really didn't even want to win. Also, Best Live Show of the Year with the BGS and more. Now, these 2 other categories are pretty much more to do with the site. So the Writer of the Year, which is to me the most esteemed award one can win, that was Alan Roger Currie in a landslide. Okay, 144 votes. Donovan Sharp had 86 votes. So that was the closest. Ron Wills had 59. So Alan Roger Currie wins the Charles Tyler Writer Cup of the Year, which is probably the best award you can win. And then the Dating Coach Award of the Year went to Alan Roger Currie. And then Alan Roger Currie also wins the best YouTuber of the year, Black YouTuber of the Year, according to the fans. So what does that mean? First award show, Alan Roger Currie gets a trifecta. Okay. Now, so there will be awards sent out for the 3 main awards, and then something at least for some of the other awards. We're still working on that. But there will be an award ceremony show. We're going to do the award show week and stuff like that and celebrate the people and everything like that. So, guys, I just want to tell everybody, it's a clean sweep. Now, this is the first year.
Do you know this is going to be the first pre-recorded, uploaded video I've uploaded, video podcast I've uploaded since September 29th? Yeah, just under 2.5 months ago. Because as most of you all know, since October 5th of this year, I've been doing nothing but YouTube live streams. I kind of went away from pre-recorded videos. Because as a couple of other YouTube content creators shared with me, they basically said, Alan, if you got about 25 minutes worth of content or less, about 25 minutes or less worth of content, that's when you can go ahead and do a pre-recorded video. At maximum, I'd say roughly about 45 to 50 minutes or less. Generally 25 minutes or less, at maximum about 45 to 50 minutes or less. They said that's cool for pre-recorded videos. But once you have enough content for about 55 minutes or more, 55 minutes or more, that's when these two content creators said, you're better off live streaming. Definitely, if you're going to go well over an hour, you're better off live streaming. Otherwise, people are going to call you, long-winded and all that stuff. And it's funny because I noticed that since I started doing live streaming, nobody has called me long-winded. I haven't had anybody come in my comment section and try to suggest that I'm long-winded since I've been doing live streams, because there's a lot of people who have lengthy live streams. I've seen people do literally like 11-hour live streams. Like 10, 11, I think even a 12-hour live stream. I can't imagine doing a 10, 11-hour live stream. So yeah, there's a lot of people who do lengthy live streams. So people don't trip about you being lengthy if it's a live stream. But when it's a pre-recorded video, I find a lot of times if you go over a half hour, and definitely if you go more than roughly 55 minutes, people will begin to call you long-winded. So there you go. But I've been receiving a lot of feedback in regards to two things. One is in regard to my very last live stream. I've had a lot of people give me feedback in regards to it. And secondly, in respect to a poll I conducted on my community page, on my YouTube channel, a poll about intra-gender wars, intra-gender divisions. I'll get to that a little later in this video. Now, if you paid attention to the intro, shout out to O'Shea Duke Jackson. He was discussing in the intro, he was discussing the 2000. Do you hear my son in the background? You hear my son in the background? That's my son, Caden. Yeah, I know you can hear it because I can hear it very much. That's my son, Caden, in the background, making all that noise. That's my son. Hold on one second. I'm using Restream to record this pre-recorded video, which is what I normally use for my live stream. But I'm using it in this case to record a pre-recorded video. Usually I used to use my smartphone to record my pre-recorded videos. Okay. Why did I bring up the 2017 NegroManosphere Awards, which is what the intro clip was about? O'Shea Duke Jackson, who created the NegroManosphere.com. And the first time he handed out awards for his website, well, number one, the first year he had the website was 2017. So obviously the first year he handed out awards for the website was, he actually conducted the voting. The voting for the awards was actually started with around mid-February of 2018. So people actually voted on the awards beginning with roughly mid-February of 2018 up until about early to mid-February. Started with mid-February. February is a tongue twister for me. I can't enunciate that word right. Mid-February of 2018. And I think the voting lasted until early to mid-April of 2018. So the voting took place in 2018, but it was for activities that transpired in calendar year 2017. So why am I going back, 4 years? Well, I did a live stream this past Tuesday. And I feel so on my lip. And there was a portion of my live stream where I talked about some of my significant timestamps. Significant timestamps. Something that I actually posted on my community page. I posted some of my more what I called significant timestamps going all the way back to July of 1981. It goes back to as far as back as July of 1981, all the way up until as recently as November of 2020, which is when I released my book, No Free Attention, which of course a lot of people have been singing the praises of. And one guy called it the best book ever written about dating. That's right. He called it the best book. Again, I had at least 2 Amazon reviewers call it that. Another guy titled his review probably the best book I've ever read about dating. And this guy actually said best book that he feels it has ever been written about dating. So, yeah. So I was doing these timestamps. And I said when I was discussing the timestamps that most of the timestamps, most of my longtime followers were going to be familiar with. So it wasn't going to be too many timestamps that I felt were going to, surprise people, shock people, raise anybody's eyebrows. But at the same time, I felt like there would probably be 2 or 3 that might moderately raise the eyebrows if they're not a long time follower of me, a supporter of me, and they just became familiar with me within the last year or 2. And they ended up being at least 2 or 3 of the timestamps that surprised at least a handful, not too many people, but a handful of people. I would say more specifically, some young black men. There were at least 2 and as many as 3 of the timestamps that provoked at least 4 or 5 guys to send me some feedback saying that they were surprised. One was when I mentioned that I was on Oprah Winfrey. That I was interviewed by Oprah Winfrey in February. There's that word again. February of 1987. Yeah, a couple brothers said they had no idea that I was on the Oprah Winfrey show when I was in my early 20s. Yes. Yeah. Now I wasn't, let me clarify. I have to clarify this all the time. I wasn't an invited guest on the Oprah Winfrey show. So let me make that clear. I was not an invited guest on the Oprah Winfrey show. She had 3 relationship experts that she did invite, that she spent roughly the first half, a little more than the first half of the show, interviewing and discussing at that time, today's dating scene, which would have been the late 80s. Then the latter half of the show, she went in the audience and was asking specifically designated audience members questions about different things. And that's when I got interviewed. So I wasn't an invited guest. Me and my brother were members of the audience. And we actually both ended up being on the show. She ended up asking my brother a question related to should you get a woman's number versus should you give a woman your number? Yeah, that was, I think, the question she asked my brother, which was interesting enough. As most people know, I participated in a live stream on O'Shea Duke Jackson's channel, Memorial Day weekend of 2018. It was me, Donovan Sharp, and Alpha Male Strategies. That's the only time I've ever been on a live stream with Alpha Male Strategies. And that was the main subject of that live stream is should you ask for a woman's number or should you give a woman your number? Donovan and Alpha Male Strategies both believe you should ask for a woman's number. I believe you should give a woman your number. I rarely, over the course of my life, have asked for a woman's number. I either exchange phone numbers, or if only one person is giving up the number, I prefer to give a woman my number and me not have her number rather than vice versa. Yeah, I would rather give a woman my number and me not have her number than for me to have her number, but she doesn't have my number. I don't, yeah. So I don't want to go on a digression about that. But yeah, so that was one timestamp that raised at least a couple young brothers' eyebrows that I was on Oprah Winfrey. I had one guy tried to argue with me. Speaking of Donovan Sharp, I had one guy that tried to argue with me about to do with the 21 convention. He said, ARC, it has to do with this one right here. It has to do with this one right here. And it says October 2018, ARC becomes the first African American male self help guru to be a featured speaker at the 21 convention 2 years consecutively. A young brother write me and say, ARC, man, I don't think you were. I don't think you were. Donovan Sharp, as far as I know, was the first black dude to speak at the 21 convention multiple times. Donovan Sharp was the first black speaker to speak at the 21 convention multiple times. No, he was not. With all due respect to Donovan. With all due respect to Donovan. No, he was not. I was. I was the first black male. Two things. And so, as you can see on the screen, in September of 2017, I was the first African American male self help guru to be a featured speaker at the 21 convention. Period. Period. Drops mic. Now, technically, there were two black men invited to speak in 2017, but one ran into scheduling problems, so he couldn't attend, which was a brother by the name of Ed Lattimore. Ed Lattimore. Both he and I were invited to speak in 2017, but he ran into a scheduling conflict, so it ended up being just myself. But yeah, I'm the first black male self-help guru to ever speak at a 21 convention. Number one. Number two, I was the first black male self-help guru to speak at the 21 convention 2 years in a row. 2 times in a row. So yeah, again, it was just one brother, but yeah, this one young brother, he was trying to debate me. He said, "Man, I could have swore Donovan Sharp was the first black dude to speak at the 21 convention multiple times." No, he was not. Now him and Ed Lattimore, I want to say that Donovan and Ed Lattimore were the first black men to speak at the 21 convention 3 or more times. So I give them that credit. They were the first two guys to speak at the 21 convention 3 or more times. I could have spoken actually 3 or more times, but after 2018, I respectfully declined the invitation because Anthony Dream Johnson, he invited me to speak multiple times. But after I spoke in October 2018, the rest of the times I respectfully declined. But anyway, here's the one that really, of all my timestamps, here's what raised eyebrows of at least minimum 4 black men, as many I want to say as 5 black men. Is this one you see right here that says ARC in April 2018, ARC gets voted by the readers and subscribers of O'Shea Duke Jackson's website, the NegroManosphere.com, as best dating coach, best columnist and writer, and best black male YouTuber for calendar year 2017. Believe it or not, that has some brothers tripping, man. Mainly some based on how old they told me they were, based on some. Basically, the feedback I got was from brothers that have really only been on YouTube like maybe 2.5, at most 3 years that they've been on YouTube, and specifically what I call the black side of YouTube. It blew their mind when they heard me say that I got an award for basically. Now their commentary was mainly in a lighthearted spirit. It wasn't anything malicious or attacking towards me. It was mainly lighthearted, at least semi-lighthearted. But they were like, ARC, man, ARC, are you serious? You get voted by brothers on Black YouTube as the best Black male YouTuber for calendar year 2017, they were like, man, I find that hard to believe, man. They said, I find that hard to believe. Couple of the guys, 2 to 3 of the guys said they found it hard to believe because I get hated on by Black men so much. That's why they found it hard to believe, because I get hated on by Black men so much. They were like, man, as many brothers be hating on you, you got voted best Black male YouTuber for calendar year 2017. They basically were like, that must have been before the haterade began. Because over the last couple of years, man, as much haterade that I've seen you receive from other Black men, it's hard for me to believe you got voted best Black man. I sure did. As you heard O'Shea in the intro, I actually won 4 awards. I want to say I won more awards than anybody in the NegroManosphere Awards for 2017. I want to say this young brother named L.A.R. Movement was a close second. I think he won 3 awards. I won 4. Yeah, I won 4 awards. I won, and as you heard O'Shea also mention, I won the 3, what he called or categorized as the 3 major awards. The 3 biggie awards, the most significant awards. Which was dating coach, best Black male dating coach of the year, best Black male writer / columnist for the NegroManosphere of the year, and best Black male YouTuber. Now, 2 of my awards, 2 of the awards I won got voted on. Now, one of my 4 awards was an editor pick, and I think you heard him mention that in the intro. So it wasn't by votes. It was O'Shea himself selecting it. I got an award. The one award I got that was an editor pick was I brought in calendar year 2017, and I want to say I think I fell in this category for 2018 as well. I brought more internet traffic to NegroManosphere for my articles than any other writer or columnist on the NegroManosphere for their articles. Yeah, matter of fact, O'Shea once told me, he said, I brought more non-Black traffic to his website than any other writer, and I brought more Black female traffic to his website than any other writer, at least in 2017, and I want to say 2018 as well. Yeah, in 2017 and 2018, I brought the most non-Black male traffic to the NegroManosphere.com. I had a lot of white guys visiting the website, a lot of Asian guys, a lot of Hispanic guys, a lot of Middle Eastern guys. Yeah, I brought the most non-Black male traffic to the NegroManosphere in both 2017 and 2018. And secondly, I brought the most Black female traffic. Yeah, I brought the most Black female traffic to the NegroManosphere, definitely in 2017, and I think to a lesser extent in 2018. So that was an editor pick award, was that award I got. Then the 3 awards I got that were voted on by people who were subscribers, followers, and supporters of the NegroManosphere.com website, as well as just people on YouTube. I won Best Black Male Dating Coach on YouTube. I won by a significant margin. I can't remember who was the runner up. Then I won Black Columnist and Writer. Yeah, I won. And then now, as you heard O'Shea mention in the intro, the most surprising victory for me, I was even shocked, as well as a lot of people, and this is related to why a lot of people, I was getting feedback of people being shocked. I was surprised when I won Black Male YouTuber for calendar year 2017. I was literally shocked. Because I remember me and O'Shea, we had at least 1, if not 2 conversations privately over the phone about it. I told him I thought it was some kind of joke. of the 3 awards I won, the 3 major awards, that was the number 1 award I did not expect to win. Given the people who I was competing against, I did not expect to win. I can honestly say the other 2, I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna be real and be a little cocky. The other 2 categories, I expected to win. I really did. I'm just gonna keep it real. I expected to win Best Dating Coach. I wasn't 100% convinced I was going to win, but I confidently expected to win, particularly as it got closer to the end of voting and I saw my lead kind of separate. So, because at first, when the voting first started, it was like nip tuck, nip tuck, nip tuck. And then in those last, like about 2 weeks of voting, I began to separate. So I commonly expected to win Dating Coach of the Year for 2017 and Best Columnist and Writer for 2017. Because again, if nothing else, it was based on the fact that I saw the voting begin to separate for me. But Black male YouTuber, it was nip and tuck up until the end. No one person like had a head and shoulders lead over anybody else. It like whoever was number 1 changed like at least 3 or 4 times. Like at one point, Donovan Sharp was in the lead. Then Mumia Obsidian Ali was in the lead. I think even BGS Ibmore, who's a well-known black, my non-black people don't know who that is, but most black people know who BGS Ibmore. BGS Ibmore, he was even in the lead, I think, briefly. Now, if there's one person who wasn't on the list that probably could have beat me out, probably would have beat me out, is the brother who goes by the name Valdez, aka the Angry Man. Him and O'Shea had a falling out. And I don't want to get into the details of that. But they had a falling out that caused him not to be a nominee for Best Black Male YouTuber. So he wasn't on the list. But he definitely would have gotten a lot of votes. I don't know if he would have won, but he would have got a lot of votes. But yeah, I was shocked, man. Yeah, I ended up beating out Donovan Sharp by just a handful. I think I beat him literally by maybe 10, 15 votes. At most, maybe 20. I think it was closer to 10. I think I beat him out literally by about 10 to 15 votes. Yeah, it was me. I ended up being number 1. Donovan Sharp was number 2. Mumia Obsidian Ali was number 3. And BGS Ibmore was number 4. Here's the reason why I was shocked that I did win Black Male YouTuber of the Year for calendar year 2017. I rarely talk about just black issues. Like when I talk about dating relationships, I talk about dating relationships as it relates to all men and women. Caucasian men and women, Asian men and women, Hispanic men and women, Middle Eastern men and women, black men and women. I talk about dating relationships as it relates to how all men and women interact with each other. I rarely specifically focus on the black dating scene compared to other black male YouTubers. So that's the number 1 reason why I was shocked that I won, because I rarely focus on the black dating scene. Number 2, compared to a lot of my fellow candidates in that category, I didn't really upload as much as them. Like Donovan Sharp in 2017, man, he was uploading a lot of content, like either every day, every other day. He was uploading content almost, if not every day, at minimum every other day. He was uploading content. So just in terms of pure volume of content, Donovan Sharp blew me away in terms of the quantity of content he was uploading. Even Mumia Obsidian Ali at the time was uploading more content than me. BGS was uploading more content. So in terms of pure content, the amount of content they were uploading, I didn't think I would win. The third thing, and this relates to somewhat of the haterade comment, that I didn't think I would win, because I was that's when I first began to get, starting with June, July of 2017, there were some black men that were accusing me of, at maximum, pandering to black women and always defending black women. And at minimum, if they didn't accuse me of those two things, they were accusing me of not criticizing black women harshly enough. Not criticizing black women harshly enough. So that's the third most reason why I didn't think I was going to win. But anyway, all that to say, I did win. Yeah, that was probably the most surprising victory, I would say, maybe of all the categories. I think there might have been one other category. I can't remember all the categories where O'Shea ended up saying it was kind of a surprise victory for that person. But yeah, I think most people, because it was kind of like the talk of YouTube for a few weeks after it happened. Yeah, man, that was the most surprising victory of all the categories, man. People were like, dang, ARC won? ARC won? They was asking O'Shea, did I pay him? I had a few guys, both in a lighthearted manner and even some in a more serious manner. They was like, O'Shea, man, did Alan pay you to win that category, man? Did Alan pay you? No, man, I ain't pay O'Shea. I ain't that unethical to pay him to win a category. But anyway, going back to more recently, yeah, I had about 45 young brothers that wrote me. They said, man, I'm blown away by the fact that you won Black Male YouTuber for calendar year 2017, given how much haterade you receive from other black men. Then I had another guy. He was more so shocked, not because of how much haterade I received, but just like I just mentioned about the criticisms I received back in 2017. I had at least one young brother, he kind of tried to criticize. He said, man, ARC, with all due respect, man, I don't understand how you won Best Black Male YouTuber, man. You never go in on sisters. You never go in on sisters, man. You never call sisters to the carpet for all their fuckery, man. How the hell you win Best Black Male YouTuber of 2017? He was like, I wasn't even on YouTube in 2017. But just knowing your history, man, compared to other black male YouTubers, I can't believe that you got voted the winner, because you never really talk about stuff to do with the black community on your videos. You never talk about really stuff to do with the black community. And even more specifically, you never go in on black women. He was basically implying that he felt like the person who should have won that category, the Black Male YouTuber of the Year award, should be a black male YouTube content creator that always goes in on black women. You know, always is calling out their fuckery. Mumia Obsidian Ali, of course, made the term black female fuckery well known. I mean, people should know me from my Blog Talk Radio days. I was on Blog Talk Radio for 9 years. And I'm not going to go into a long digression about this, but I'm going to just say this, man. I ain't never had no reason to go in on black women as a group. As an entire group, I've never had any compelling reason to go in on black women. Now, there's been times over the years, both on Blog Talk Radio and even here on YouTube a handful of times, if you're talking about, I'm going in on individual specific black women here and there, there's definitely been some individual specific black women that I've had some criticisms for related to the behavior that they were exhibiting, whether in real life or on social media or a combination of both. But as an entire group, man, I ain't had no problems with sisters like that, man. And I don't talk about this as much recently, but back in 2017, 2018, I used to talk about this all the time, and even other people would talk about it. I ain't had problems with sisters like some of these guys on YouTube. It's really, without getting lengthy or detailed, it's really that simple. I ain't had the type of problems with sisters that a lot of the black men on YouTube have had. A lot of black women, man, in my life have treated me like a king, man. I've had black women buy clothes for me, treat me to lunch, treat me to dinner, pay some of my bills. So, I mean, that's not to say I've never, ever had any type of verbal sparrings or disappointing or frustrating experiences in a particular social interaction with a black woman. I mean, of course I have. Of course I've had a percentage, but I've never, and this goes beyond black women to just women, period, man. Women have never, ever had me so irritated and frustrated to the point where it would provoke me to do multiple podcasts and live streams per week and per month talking about it. Now, if other guys, whether they black or non-black, choose to do that, more power to them. If that's what benefits their channel and draws viewers and subscribers to their channel, I say more power to them. I don't criticize anybody for choosing whatever they choose to do on their own channel, with these exceptions. The only thing I'm critical of what people do on their own channel, if you're promoting racist hatred, I'm not down with that. If you're promoting misandry, some form of misandry, if you're a woman, or some form of misogyny, if you're a man, I'm not down with that. And if you're invalidly and unfairly disparaging another YouTuber in an unsubstantiated way, not down with that. So, other than those exceptions, I don't care what other people do on their channels. But speaking for me and my own channel, man, I am never, again, I'll go back to my Blog Talk Radio days, man. When I was on Blog Talk Radio, I never did an episode that was just all about going in on black women. Ever. That ain't me, man. And here's one more thing, and then I'll wrap up on this particular point. If you go back and read as far back as my 1999 version of Mo 1, and even my 2006 version of Mo 1, in chapter 8, one of my pieces of advice to men, I say, never ever concern yourself with things that annoy you, irritate you, or frustrate you to do with women's behavior. I say, do not ever dwell on that or spend a significant amount of time discussing that. I basically say in my book, that makes you look like a loser. I'm just going to be blunt. I basically say that in my book. I say, number one thing, it's going to make you look like you're a fucking loser. Gonna make you look like you're a loser, man. Number two, you have no control over women's behavior. So why are you talking about it? You can't force a woman to change and improve her behavior. You can make that suggestion to her. And if she respects you, she might listen to your suggestion. But generally speaking, you don't have no control over a woman's behavior, no matter how fucked up it is. So why talk about it? Particularly if the woman you talking about has no interest in dating you or engaging in casual sex with you. Why are you talking about any woman that has no interest in dating you or having casual sex? See, I'm a different type of brother, man. For better or for worse, I'm a different type of brother, man. From the time I was in my 20s to now, before I got married, starting with, say, my late teens, early 20s, all the way up until right before I met my wife, I never concerned myself with women that I wasn't trying to date or fuck. I just didn't, man. If it was a woman that I wasn't trying to either make as my next long-term girlfriend, possibly my future wife, or at minimum to become my next fuck buddy or friends with benefits partner, I wasn't thinking about them, man. I wasn't thinking about them. Like once a woman, if I hit on a woman and she rejected me, once a woman rejected me, stop thinking about her. Or if she ended up friend zoning me, stop talking to the woman, stop thinking about her. I don't think about women who exhibit behavior that's annoying, irritating, or frustrating. I don't think about those women. Other than to prepare me, help me be prepared to neutralize their manipulative head games related to my book, of course, The Possibility of Sex and No Free Attention. That's the only time I really think about women have thought about women over the years in a critical manner is related to the contents of my book, The Possibility of Sex and No for Attention. But other than those, the content you find in those two books, man, I don't be thinking about women like that, man. About what's fucked up about them. That ain't something I think about like on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis. Is what's fucked up about women. That don't even be on my mind, man. I only think about women as it relates to, is this woman going to reciprocate my romantic desires, interests, and intentions? Is this woman going to reciprocate my casual sex desires, interests, and intentions? Or is this woman going to do something to help me improve my career or help me sell more books? If they don't fall in one of these three categories, I don't spend much time thinking about them, man. Period. I don't spend much time thinking about them. But there's a lot of guys, again, not only I would say there's a lot of black guys who do, there's a lot of non-black guys who do. Who they spend a lot of time thinking about the flaws and weaknesses of women's behavior and their character and their integrity. More power to them, man. If that's what floats your boat, I ain't gonna hate on you. But my attitude is I don't think about that shit, man. That's not part of me, man. I got other things to think about other than that shit, man. Because number one, when it comes to dealing with women on a personal level, I'm not talking about coworkers or dealing with women in some other aspect. I'm talking about strictly dealing with women as it relates to your love life, sex life, and social life. Love life, sex life, and social life. Once I identify a woman as having undesirable qualities, I just don't fuck with them. It's that simple. So I'm not going to be doing much whining and complaining because when it comes to dealing with women as it relates specifically to my love life, sex life, and overall social life, once I've identified a woman as, say, being too argumentative, too disrespectful, a verbally emasculating type woman, too masculine, too ghetto, too ratchet, and everything else that would make her undesirable. Once I identify those attributes, characteristics, quality, I just don't fuck with them, man. I only choose to fuck with women who I think are reasonably high quality. So there you go. Finally, to wrap up, man, I'm still getting a lot of both public and private feedback in relation to a poll on my community page. As you can see on the screen. Yeah, there's a lot of content creators that talk about the gender war, particularly black male YouTube content creators, talk about this gender war between men and women. But what I said on my community page is that I feel like the intra, and if you're not familiar with that word, that means within, intra. So an intra-gender war would represent a war within the male gender. That would be an intra-gender war. If there is some type of philosophical war of words among men themselves, forget women, push them to the side. And I said, I feel like at minimum, there's definitely more. But if I narrowed it down for the purposes of this poll, I felt like there's at least 5 divisions between men I've witnessed on YouTube, particularly among black men. To some extent, I would say this extends to all men, but definitely among black men. Here's the 5 divisions I feel like there are here on Black YouTube. Men who despise black women versus men who love and adore black women. That received, out of 486 votes so far for this poll, at the time I did this print screen, I had received 486 votes. That division received 13% of the vote. 13% of the vote. Men who despise black women versus men who love and adore black women. Next division, men who hate modern day feminism and what's known as the gynocracy versus men who just really don't care about that shit. Men who hate modern day feminism and everything related to it and the gynocracy, and men who just honestly really don't care about that. That actually got the second highest amount of votes, 17%. 17%. Next division is men who respect game, was commonly referred to as game. And I would say even more specifically, verbal game. As you know, there's two types of verbal game, which is direct verbal game and indirect verbal game. But men who respect game / mouthpiece versus men who love tricking. I really wanted to say tricking and whining and dining, but I didn't have enough room. But yeah, men who respect game / mouthpiece versus men who more so emphasize tricking and whining and dining with women. That got 12% of the vote. I've seen that division a lot in the last roughly year and a half, 2 years. That third division, I've seen that become more prominent just in the last year and a half to 2 years. A lot of guys on YouTube, and again, particularly black men, there's a lot of black men who favor tricking and whining and dining that have harsh criticisms for men who are more about game and mouthpiece. And to some degree, you have vice versa. I've heard guys who are more about game and mouthpiece criticize guys who are all about tricking and whining and dining. I think you all know of those two where I stand without question. I'm gonna skip over number 4 for now and go to the 5th response. Division between college educated white collar men and blue collar working class men. That got the smallest percentage of votes, 4%. I've noticed that division here and there. Never anything on a regular basis, but kind of here and there, I've noticed sometimes there's a division in the manosphere in general, and more specifically the black manosphere, between college educated brothers and blue collar working class brothers. And the division that received the highest amount of votes, 54%, 54%, is men who have a reputation for being a ladies' man / womanizer versus men who are struggling with women. So, one degree or another, they're romantically frustrated, they're sexually frustrated, and they struggle to pull women. In extreme cases, they're incels. They're bitter, resentful, misogynistic incels. But that's on the extreme level. But even guys who are not necessarily bitter, resentful, misogynistic incels, guys who are just moderately romantically and sexually frustrated tend to have a lot of jealousy, envy, and hatred towards guys who have had it easy. As one guy who commented on this poll said, he said, Alan, I think that division has literally existed in society for centuries. And I would agree with him. He said that division between men has existed in society for centuries. There's always been a division between men who have an easy time attracting women and getting them in bed and men who have a hard time attracting women and getting them in bed. There's always been a division between those two. And again, I agree with what the commenter said. You definitely see this in both the worldwide manosphere, or what some black men call the white manosphere. I call it the worldwide manosphere. And you see it as well in the black manosphere. It's become very prominent over the last, I'd say, 9-10 years. Over the last 9-10 years, specifically as it relates to the manosphere, that division has become much more prominent. You can almost divide men in 2 categories. There's some men, I say this in my book, No Free Attention, which again, one guy says it's the best book ever written about dating. Best book ever written. I say this in No Free Attention. I was talking about incel and guys who are just generally struggling with women. You're generally going to have 2 groups of guys when it comes to guys who are struggling with women. Some guys who are currently struggling with women are going to seek out helpful advice from dating coaches and PUAs so that they can hopefully improve their level of success with women romantically and sexually. That's one group of incels, is the incels who want to indulge and immerse themselves into self-improvement and personal development. And that includes seeking out the knowledge, wisdom, insight, and advice from various dating coaches and PUAs. Then you're gonna have another. Now, that first group of guys, they don't really hate on guys who are ladies, man, and womanizer types. They don't hate on them. They want to learn from them. Instead of hating on them, they want to learn from them. But then you got another group of guys who are struggling with women that they resent guys who, for most of their adult life, have been a ladies' man or a woman. They resent those guys. They have jealousy towards them, envy towards them, bitterness towards them, resentment towards them, and in some cases, just straight out hatred. L.A.R, who everybody's familiar with, I remember L.A.R in his manifesto, he admitted, man, he had hatred for guys who were ladies' man, womanizer types. He had hatred for guys in that category to the point where he wanted to kill them. I talk about some stuff related to that in my book, The Beta Male Revolution. Beta Male Revolution. See, here's what caused the problem. This relates to something I talked about in my last live stream about being red pill. Is that, let's say you're a man who's struggling with women. And let's say you approach a woman and she treats you like you are weird, creepy, repulsive, just generally physically unattractive, sexually undesirable. You get treated like that by a woman. Let's call her Linda. Linda, you approach a woman named Linda, and she just treats you like, again, like you're, number one, like you're physically unattractive, sexually undesirable, even more so like you're weird or creepy or socially awkward. And she just basically treats you like she wants you to leave her alone as quickly as possible. But then let's say, I don't know, a half hour later, or the next day, or the next week, you see this handsome, smooth, persuasively charming, seductive type, ladies' man type dude, womanizer type dude talking to Linda, and she's just fawning all over him. She's fawning all over him, smiling in his face, rubbing her hand on his chest, laughing at all his jokes. Then you see her give him her number. You're going to feel some kind of way. There's a greater than 50% chance you're going to feel some kind of way. That's not as much opinion as it is fact. You're going to feel some kind of way. And that's what contributes to that division, number 4. This division. That's what contributes to it, man. And again, there's a chapter where I talk about that in the Beta Male Revolution. If you're a man that gets treated negatively by women, and see, this goes back to what I was talking about with black women, man. See, that's one reason why I don't do too much bashing of, I don't do hardly any bashing of black women. Because, see, black women haven't treated me the way they have some other brothers. I've seen it starting with my high school days. Starting with probably my senior in high school, and definitely my college days, I've seen it firsthand, man. Like, I've seen a sister treat another brother like he was physically unattractive, sexually unappealing, like he was weird or creepy or socially awkward, and basically like they would treat that guy like they wanted that guy to leave them alone as soon as possible. Then that same sister would be all up in my face, smiling, telling me how handsome I was, invite me over her place. And guys who witnessed that, they'd be like, oh, that motherfucker. I told y'all about a story in my very last live stream. I don't want to rehash it, but I talked about a story when I was in high school. That's what happened that happened in high school, man. When I was a senior in high school, those type of instances happened. And the guys who wasn't getting the type of attention from women that they wanted, they would look at me with an evil eye. They would mean mug me and look at me like, oh man, fuck that nigga Alan Roger Currie. Fuck that motherfucker. That light-skinned, pretty-ass nigga, man. Fuck that motherfucker. I ought to go over there and whoop his ass. Fuck him. This division has always existed in society, but it's grown in prominence over the last 9-10 years in both the worldwide manosphere as well as the black manosphere. That's all I got for you. Join me for my 4th annual end of the year wrap-up live stream on Thursday at 2 o'clock Eastern. Thursday at 2 o'clock Eastern, I'm going to be doing my 4th annual. I started doing this in 2018. I do what I call my end of the year wrap-up. So I will be wrapping up the calendar year of 2021. So until then, enjoy the rest of your Saturday and the rest of your weekend. Peace.
Yes, sir.
Say it again.
Yes, sir.
Who's the king?
Alan, you're the king.
Say it again.
Alan, you're the king. You're dominating me.
Say it again.
Alan, you're dominating me right now. Mode 1.
Mode 1.
Daddy, can I go, please? You're the king.
Say it again.
Oh, you're the fucking king. Yes. Yes. Yes.
You're the king, Alan.
AKA the king of verbal seduction. You know, it's the tone of your voice, how seductive your intonations are, the vibrations that you could just reach out over the phone lines and stroke a woman's breast just by the sound of your voice, how you could make her pussy so wet just by the sound of your voice. That's actually very hot.
So you said my show was what?
I said your show is powerful.
Oh, say it again.
Your show is powerful.
I bet the king would fuck me really good.
Who's the king?
Alan Roger Currie.
Oh, yeah. Who's the king?
Alan Roger Currie. The king.
The king.
The king.
I have to agree with you on the communication piece, because I actually did take a session with Alan Roger Currie, and he gave me a line that I did not think was going to work, and it worked. And I was like, what the fuck?
Oh my God!
God, man, he's the master. He's the master of the verbal seduction. He got that communication piece down pat.
It really worked. Yeah. It just simply worked, and I just didn't think it was going to work at all.
Some guys have natural handles. Some guys have a better natural shot, but you can always improve your shot. And sex is damn sure something you can fucking learn. Look, dude, you want to learn how to talk better? I'm hiring Alan Roger Currie to get my dirty talk game on, because it's always been something I want to get better at.
Verbal seduction, man. I'm like, clearly, this guy's the Michael Jordan of seduction. Like, you know, come on now.